What's up, y'all? Esperett here, and today we are once again going back in time to the golden age of gaming. Now, if you're curious as to what that is and why I call it that, don't worry. I'll have a video releasing soon regarding that. But today we are looking at the first installment into a legendary series that went from traditional turn-based JRPG style games to a shell of its former self. A game that takes a fabled and prized Nintendo IP and converts the whole style into a 2D paper form. From Golden Goose to shitty disappointment. Welcome everyone, my name is Esperett the Espion, and today we are looking at and judging the game Paper Mario 64. So what is Paper Mario, and why was it made? Well, the game was developed by Nintendo and Intelligent Systems for the Nintendo 64. And, fun fact, I didn't even notice until I looked it up, it was supposed to be the sequel to Super Mario RPG. And the whole paper thing was mainly just aesthetic flavor, emphasizing that this game was entirely based on a flat 2D surface. Now, despite the art change, this is still a Mario game. The primary goal is to stop Bowser and rescue Princess Peach. But you are also on the side quest to release all the star spirits that Bowser captured, with the fabled star rod that he stole from said spirits. And with its power, Bowser seems to be unstoppable. But much like every Mario game, you eventually prevail, stopping Bowser, procuring the rod, and releasing all the spirits. And to celebrate, you get to have a parade with all the adversaries that were aiding Bowser to stop you, as well as invite Bowser himself. Yeah, the premise doesn't change at all. You are just made out of paper this time around. Which, speaking of the adversaries, you do have more than just Bowser to contend with. You have plenty of the usual enemies that are thrown at you in traditional Mario games, such as Goombas, Koopas, Lakitus, Spinies, Pokies, Boos, a weird-looking Cloud Man. Now, before we dive into the story, let's discuss the gameplay. So, the gameplay isn't your traditional Mario game. Well, it is, but it isn't. He's still jumping as one of his main sources of damage, just not in traditional Mario fashion. No, this is an RPG game. Turn-based RPG. Much like Final Fantasy, much like Tactics Ogre, much like Octopath Traveler. In this game, depending on how the fight encounter starts, you are thrown into the fight on this stage, and you have to choose what you want to do against the enemy with this wheel over here, which you can either jump, use your hammer, an item, run, or swap your teammates, as well as choose your star power. More on that later. And that will be Mario's turn. Then your partner also gets a turn, but you can really only choose between doing their abilities or swapping them out, or doing nothing. Then it would be the enemy's turn, much like your standard turn-based RPG. Now, if that's all it was, it would be pretty boring. But, thankfully, in this game they decided to add more to it. By adding these badges to the game. These badges can enhance your fighting experience as Mario, like getting new jump abilities like Power Stomp. It is just your regular stomp, but it deals double damage. Or Power Hammer, which does the same thing, only with your hammer instead. There is also, like I mentioned before, the Star Power, which you unlock as you free the Star Spirits as you are progressing through the game. Which brings me to the next part of the gameplay. How does the progression feel in this game? Well, thinking about it back when I was a kid, I remember the progression feeling somewhat pretty smooth. But I'm currently replaying through the game now, and after how many years have passed, does the progression still feel the same? Well, I'll let you know in a moment. So we are going to do this segment differently. While discussing how this game's progression feels, we are also going to go ahead and go over how the story plays out and what happens with each chapter. Starting with the prologue. Which begins with Parakarry delivering mail, and I'm assuming interrupting a nice little smoke session involving Mario, Luigi, and probably that one Toad that can never keep Peach safe. Maybe that's how Peach constantly gets captured. Anyway, Luigi goes out blazed off his ass, grabbing the mail, and walks up to Mario. Since he is in such a stoned state, he's pretty much that one girl from that old Dare commercial.
Sarah. She won't answer you. Or she can't. This is the way it's been since she started smoking pot.
So Luigi just went ahead and opened up the letter and started reading it. I'm assuming it was addressed to Mario. Ooh, Luigi committing a crime. But the letter does read, Dear Mario, I'm having a party at the castle. Everyone's invited, except your brother Luigi. Not after what happened with Daisy. Well, damn. And Luigi read that to his comatose brother. Awkward. Anyway, jokes aside, the two head off for the Mushroom Kingdom to partake in party shenanigans. On the way there, you get a good lay of the land of the Mushroom Kingdom. Though I have to say, Princess Peach, why the fuck did you choose these big-ass blue doors leading to your kingdom? Like, you have a grossly pink castle. Why not have the big door match? Anyway, you go into the castle, Luigi wanders up to go commit the same problem that got him kicked out last time, and you're free to move around now. However, everyone is pretty much telling you, hey man, why are you talking to any of us? You know the princess is waiting for that mushroom boost, if you know what I mean. So, despite being this man of God, this pious man, Mario finally laments and goes up to the princess. And when they are about to go bump uglies on the balcony? Damn, Peach, kinda freaky about to be waving to the crowd while getting railed from behind. So as you're going to the balcony, an earthquake starts happening. But as you come to realize, you are in the Mario world. This ain't no earthquake. That no good, nasty, vile Princess Peach simping schmuck Bowser decided that his next plan? Build his castle underneath Princess Peach's. And forced it into the night sky, high above the atmosphere where it's nighttime. You know, I don't know if Bowser really thought this through. But when the rumbling stops, Peach finally looks out to see that it's now nighttime, as she's admiring the sky and is wiggling her ass to Mario waiting. Bowser busts through the window with Grandma Kammy Koopa to complete his master plan. To finally be the simp no longer. He tapped into his incel powers and performed all of this to kidnap Princess Peach and force her to love him. You know, man, other princesses exist. Hell, I'm sure that if you opened up Twitch... Oh yeah, this is 2001. Twitter wasn't around back then. Well, shit man, you're SOL, brother. Anyway, when Bowser appears, this initiates the first combat in the game, which you are meant to lose. I wonder if Paper Mario was the first to do this. But anyway, you lose. Bowser uses his incel-fueled power and yeets Mario out of the castle with the power of Zeus's piss. And Mario is last seen descending back to Earth, potentially dead, as he is falling, it fades to white? Showing the title and eventually showing the chapter screen with Prologue. The prologue acts as the tutorial for the game. It starts with Mario dead on the ground, and the Star Spirits show up showing that they don't seem to be thrilled that their fate rests on this dead fucking plumber. But the old man star ensures them to trust this dead Italian man, and they bless Mario with some wish power to start his heart back up. Afterwards, you will eventually encounter this family of Goombas who teach you the fundamentals of the game, while also helping them out by getting hurt by their own lack of exterior integrity knowledge and end up finding their grandfather Goomba, steal his hammer, beat the piss out of some random Koopa kid. No, seriously, look at this kid. Sure, he's a bit of a shithead, but Mario, a full-grown adult, just whoops his ass. The kid rolls up like, "Hey, what the fuck y'all doing in my home? Making a mess and shit." And like I'm sure everyone would do, assert their dominance as the owner of this land, but Mario just beats the shit out of him. Afterwards, the kid threatens to come back, and you get the Grandpa Goomba home. You kidnap the young son of the Goomba family as a companion, and you are off to get to Toad Town. But before you do, you are stopped by not only a group of high-tier Goombas based on their color and size, but also you fight the great and mighty King Charles Goomba. And of course, Mario beats the shit out of them, beats the shit out of the British King. You get to Toad Town and reach Shooting Star's summit, and speak with the spirits once again, who are still unsure if he's the right man for the job. I'm sure they were all on the summit realizing that they put their faith into a plumber of all people. But they reluctantly introduce themselves and entrust Mario to get the job done, and free their asses from that no-good simping douche nozzle that trapped their asses in tarot cards. And so ends the prologue, moving on to Chapter 1. Chapter 1 begins right after the discussion with the stars, and as you are leaving the summit back to Toad Town, the stars decide to pull a prank and throw a star at Mario. But it turns out that this star is called Twink. Anyway, Twink explains the reasoning for blowing out Mario's back and provides them with the special plot necklace that allows Mario to perform strong attacks against foes. And while watching the local fortune teller / grand wizard perform racist magic on some innocent oh, never mind. They were the Ninja Turtles? Anyway, you find out that these black-clothed toads are actually the mischievous Koopa Bros. And when they eventually run off, it's off to the Koopa Fortress with you. With a quick word from our sponsors over at Koopa Village.
Breaking news!
Shells are now 99% off if you can catch these fuzzies and find Mario in time while this offer lasts. When you finish messing with every fuzzy in Koopa Village, you eventually find this house that is looking like someone installed hydraulics in it to look badass, when in reality it's this loser who looking like he trying to impersonate Koopa Jones from the Mystery Koopas, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, you go help this Koopa whose name is Cooper. You get his special blue shell back. When you eventually beat the piss out of the fuzzies who stole the shell, Cooper will join you on your adventure. Hell yeah, another party member. And good too, because not trying to bash the guy, but Goombario kinda mid, not gonna lie. Eventually you reach Koopa Fortress and start making your way through the fortress, and eventually running into each member of the Ninja Turtles. Eventually, because Mario is a brainless buffoon who only cares about getting that peach, falls for an obvious trap and gets thrown into prison with a bunch of... Alright, hold up now. Hold up. Why are these bombs in a prison? They are bombs! Can't they just blow up and move on? Anyway, you eventually meet this pink bomb called Bombette. She also joins the party and gets you out of the prison. When they could have done it themselves. But now you climb back up the fortress, get to the point where you are, where they all show back up, and they're like, man, you don't quit, do you, dude? Alright, bros, hit him with the Bullet Bill Barrage. And you start getting blasted by Bullet Bill blasting cannons. Eventually, you get through the cannons and prepare to fight the Bowser. The Ninja Bowser. You fight Ninja Bowser. Then the Ninja Turtles.
I wiggle my finger, you know, maybe I even stand up and hit a little boogie with it. Oh, is that the SpongeBob? Huh? Oh, James Corden's being an asshole? Oh, you know what I'm saying? Weird. It's almost like I knew it from the get-go. Oh, now with the German.
You beat him ass despite their move whooping your ass if it goes off fully. Get the old man's star, and chapter 1 is complete. Chapter 2 begins directly after the intermission, and it starts with Old Man Star explaining star power to you. And after that, it's back to Toad Town with you. But not before you are interrupted by Twink, who unveils to Mario where the next Star Spirit is, which is in none other than the dry desert to the southeast. And while Mario was off beating the piss out of the Ninja Turtles, the residents of Toad Town finally decided to clean the place up, which opens up access to the train station, which will lead you to the Dry Outpost. Which upon arriving there, it will fade to white once again and begin Chapter 2. When you arrive at the outpost, you are in new territory and are to venture to the east to progress. While on the way there, you run into that same bastard that started this whole ordeal. The same stickler who interrupted the smoke sesh, Parakarry. He explains that he is having a hard time finding his letters and apparently drops them off in the desert and asks you to help him. Now, why ask me to help you when you can fly? Are your eyes that bad or something? Anyway, you get his letters, and he offers to join you, with the sole objective to find all the letters he lost throughout the whole countryside. Goddamn, you suck at your job! So, Parakarry joins the party, and he can hover Mario over gaps about yay big. However, combat-wise, Parakarry is a Giga Chad. This man gives no fucks whether or not you are a Koopa, Goomba, or a Pokey. He will obliterate they ass. But as you're progressing east, you run into this charming linguist here. Who is apparently a for-hire hitman looking for Mario. However, much like Bowser himself, which we will see later on, this vulture is a bit of a dipshit. Anyway, moving on from that distraction, you eventually reach the actual dry desert, and hoo-wee! If you are playing this for the first time, expect to get lost, mugged, and abused by everything out here in the desert. Eventually, you will encounter this little mouse guy who will explain you are not too far away from a village in the desert. How do they manage? But as you're progressing through the village, you will see a mouse shopkeeper leave his shop, and when following him, he'll be talking to this other mouse fellow and run back to his shop, which will be relevant to progress in the chapter. Eventually, you come to find out through talking to the locals that if you buy a dried shroom and a dusty hammer from the shopkeeper, it's code for something. Which, when you do, the shopkeeper explains the situation. You go up the buildings to meet Mr. Mustafa, or Moustafa. A legend in these parts of the land, and he gives you the pulsing plot stone that is needed to progress further in the chapter. Now comes the fun part for those new players of this game. Good luck finding where you need to go. You need to scour the whole desert to find a rock that has an imprint on it. When you do, you incite the end of the world. Or you summon the Temple of Anubis from the depths of the desert. Alright then. As you progress through the temple, you're going to be interrupted by this voice that is trying to get under your skin so hard that he decided to shake the letters violently and ghost-like to scare you, as well as play this weird-ass music when he speaks to you. Either way, you ignore his warnings, continue venturing into the temple until you come across a room with some weird clay doll looking doll, and a locked door with a block to hit. Surely it isn't a trap, right? Yeah, Mario, the greedy shit stain, got jebaited again. But when you do eventually beat the Pokies and continue on, you will eventually get a hammer upgrade to break stone blocks, which is needed to progress in the temple because in order to get to the final boss of the chapter, you have to find these specifically carved stones and put them in the correct order in order to get to the boss of this chapter. King Tutankoopa, or King Putz as I'll call him. Because if you're a psychotic murderer like Mario is here, you ought to know that some dead ancient Koopa pharaoh ain't enough for modern day plumbers. And like it was nothing, Mario takes out the boss. Frees the spirit once again, and that concludes the chapter. Chapter 3 begins much like how Chapter 2 begins, outside the area where you left off, and the star praising you for saving them and telling you that the classic "but your princess is getting railed in a different castle"-esque monologue. So with that out of the way, we go back to Toad Town to see where to go next. And it doesn't take long for you are minding your business going down the street. You can hear a scream, which turns out to be some pussy-ass guard losing his shit about some booze scaring him. Now, I'm gonna be real with you. Real quick. This is the Mushroom Kingdom in Mario's universe, where booze or ghosts are common. Why is this man scared of booze? Anyway, moving on past that, you go into the woods to see what's going on, and you are introduced to the Bootler. And yes, that is his actual name. He explains a plight that the boos that habit the forest are going through, and asks you for help. Their plight is the seemingly invincible Tubba Blubba. So you offer to help and make your way into the forest, fading to white and revealing Chapter 3 to you. Now, much like the desert, the forest can confuse a lot of new players as well. But much like everything in the forest suggests, just follow directions and watch closely and you'll eventually make your way to the Boo Mansion. Where you are instructed to reach the top floor to meet the lady of the mansion. Which, in order to do so, the owner, Lady Bo, as she's called, makes it a trip for your ass to get up there. I'm talking about playing hot potato with 2 sets of boos just to get a record, so you can distract this boo to get a weight for the chandelier in the main hall, and the second set of hot potato is to get yourself a new set of green kicks. But when you do all that and get a boo back in his painting, you are able to go to the top floor and meet Lady Bo. Who reveals that they have the Star Spirit and will give it to you if you defeat Tubba Blubba, the Invincible. Yeah, I'm sure Mario is feeling this way right about now.
Gee, so many people around here want me to solve their problems. What are you gonna do for me then?
But Mario, seeing a way to satisfy this bloodlust stirring inside him, he accepts and Lady Bo accompanies you to beat that bastard as well.
Oh, great heavens!
Which means you are heading east from the mansion to the Gusty Gulch, where you'll meet... Tan Boos. Alright. And you'll come face to face with Tubba Blubba as he is going on his daily run and dining on booze. Wait, he eats ghosts? How does that work? How does it sustain him? Anyway, you see what Blubba's been doing, and he needs to be stopped. So you enter his abode and start investigating, looking for a weakness as you have been told that he has to have one. As you are traversing through his home, you eventually reach his room, as he's coming back to get some shut-eye. Hard work pays off after all. Eventually he will fall asleep and you will open this chest that has a talking key. I think you all know where this is going. Yeah, this key's a huge asshole. And woke up Blubba, and now you need to skedaddle out of there to the big windmill we saw in the entrance of Gusty Gulch. When we get there, we find out that the reason for Tubba Blubba's invincibility is because the man got heart surgery and is nothing more than a shell. So you beat the shit out of his heart to the point that he prefers to be in his body again. And just... you beat the piss out of his body as well. Eventually you beat him. He pukes all the booze up and runs into the forest crying. And as promised, you are gifted the spirit from the bootler, and that will conclude Chapter 3. So, Chapter 4 begins with your crew returning to Toad Town, getting interrupted by that kid that Mario beat the piss out of. You beat his ass again and come back to the realization, totally not because the sudden shift in music, that something is fishy here. You see Shy Guys running amok and stealing shit all over the town. So as you are watching this unfold, you eventually find out that they are coming from the Shy Guy toy box located in this house. Sooner or later, after figuring out the secret entrance, you are whisked away into the Shy Guy toy box where Chapter 4 begins, with the traditional fade to white. Now, Chapter 4 is probably one of the funnest chapters because you interact with a lot of the NPCs that you have seen just hanging out in the game. Like, for example, in order to progress further into this toy box hellhole, you need to beat the piss out of the Shy Guys in this area, collecting all the items. One of those said items being a shopkeeper's backroom key. Going to the shop and collecting the items from the back against the better wishes of the shopkeep himself. But one of those items is a toy train, which you yeet back into the toy box, nearly hitting the conductor himself. But you use this to progress. And eventually you'll see Cammy putting these items on the floor in front of these chests. Man, with the context it makes sense. But for those that lack it, I'm sure y'all are confused, which we will go into why she's doing that before we go into Chapter 5. But anyway, as you progress through the Toyland, you will eventually run into this fat-ass Shy Guy. Excuse me. Gourmet Guy. Man, I can only wonder why you got named that. Anyway, in order for him to move, you need to get him something insanely delicious, which, in that case, you go to where Cammy put an item to guard this chest, and you will find a frying pan. You get this frying pan to this old grandmama, and she will bake you a cake. You give this to the fat ass fart over here, and, yeah, so that happened. Anyway, eventually as you progress through, you will eventually run into this creepy looking dude with a freaky smile, beat the piss out of him, and you will release and obtain a new party member, Watt. And Watt joining our party will help out in the fight against the Shy Guys, which, speaking of, now that we have Watt and are nearing the end, let's put an end to this toy box hellhole. So as you continue towards the end, you will find the person responsible for the Shy Guys running amok around the town. The man who is commanding them in an orderly fashion. Kind of. Oh, and he is looking like he belongs in a certain era of war. He is none other than General Guy. Yeah, he's one animation away from offending a lot of people. Anyway, eventually you rail Mr. Terrible Stash and his group of cronies, free the star, and you will conclude Chapter 4. Now, before we move on to Chapter 5 and beyond, we need to discuss the intermission segments between each chapter. Remember Twink? Well, there's a reason why Mario encountered this little star, and there's a reason why he had that plot necklace handy for Mario. Because in between each chapter, you are actually swapping to the point of view of Princess Peach. You go around her castle causing some problems for all of Bowser's guards, while also participating in some games, making a cake for the gourmet guy. How the hell did he get up there? Anyway, using a random ass parasol that some guard would give you as a fucking participation reward, messing around, causing problems for Gammy. And then finally, getting clapped by Bowser. Oh, okay, no, minus that last part. But yeah, each in-between chapter is a small intermission involving Peach and her peaches, causing mayhem in her castle. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to the next chapter, shall we? So when we finish the intermission with Peach, we are back to the point of view of Mario where he's talking to the 4th Star Spirit when Twink appears and relays the information obtained from Fat Bastard and reassures that Peach is okay. Yeah, sure. Alright, okay. Anyway, with the knowledge of where the next Star Spirit is, Mario heads to the docks where he meets Colorado, a Koopa who is an archaeologist. You originally meet this man in the desert, and eventually he joins you to Lava Lava Island on, in his own words, Tunaback! Welcome everyone to Yoshi's Island, aka Lava Lava Island. No, seriously, the primary inhabitants of the island are the ravens in the trees and Yoshis. And Sushi, the Cheep Cheep. Which, speaking of Sushi, eventually on your quest to get to the volcano, you assist Sushi and the village by rescuing the rogue baby Yoshis that decided to venture into the jungle. After rescuing the Yoshis, she decides to join you in your adventure. Eventually, after communing with the Raven God, you manage to get to the volcano and have a trip of a lifetime reaching the bottom. Where you finally reach the person holding the Star Spirit, or rather, persons or plants. Yeah, the boss is a 3-headed, fiery piranha plant that managed to grow in lava. Whatever. You kill the boss and eventually free the Star Spirit. Oh, never mind. This boss has one more round in him. But you make little work on it, especially if you have Sushi out and flame retardant badges. But as you actually beat the boss and attain the Star Spirit, the chapter doesn't end there like usual. Instead, you have to escape the volcano, and fast. Because I guess the piranha plant was clogging the volcano, and now that it has been cleared, it can finally release. So essentially, the volcano is saying,
I'm coming.
And you, along with Colorado, have to escape the volcano. And with the help of the newly freed Star Spirit, you are whisked away from the top of the volcano, seemingly escaped. I say seemingly because that's where it fades to white and you are sent to the Peach intermission. But that does conclude Chapter 5. So after the intermission, you are back to Mario, Colorado, and the Star Spirit. You gain a new power and another addition to the Star Gauge. Now this chapter is probably the longest in the whole game, mainly because if you played through it but haven't interacted with these flower men who are just hanging out in the dirt, guess what? You have to go around the whole area, whole countryside, to talk to them, get the magical seeds they offer, and come back to the flower field in Toad Town. Have them planted and bada bing, bada boom, a door spawns, you go through it, and it's off to Chapter 6 with you. Chapter 6 begins with you entering the flower fields, which, I'm not gonna lie, looking a whole hell of a lot more like a Kirby level than a Mario level, I'm just saying. But you are instructed to reach the top of the clouds, but you need a way to do so. So you assist the locals of the area, that being flowers, and their designs are a little nightmare fuel inducing. But you help each flower out for their own specific tasks, and eventually you'll be given the bean seed, fertile soil, and a water can. Oh, and, and as you progress through Kirby World, you will run into Spike. Who will or Michael, or Lucky Lester. He starts as a boss fight, which unsurprising since he is a Lakitu.
Huh?
Is that racist? That might be racist. I think that is racist. Am I a racist?
I'm racist. Okay? I'm a racist.
Anyway, you beat him ass, he joins your party, think it'll make him more badass. But with Lucky Lester, you're able to perform the puzzle for the Northeast, which once you do, you are engaged by another set encounter of enemies. But you deal with them, break the machine, and you plant your seed and head to the sky. Once you reach the top, you'll eventually encounter... Okay, his name is Huff and Puff, but what exactly is he? I know he's supposed to be a cloud, but I don't recall clouds being brown.
I'm racist. Okay? I'm a racist.
Maybe he's considered smog, which, considering the whole premise of the area is to stop a cloud machine, maybe that's accurate. Maybe he's actually just a smog cloud. Either way, moving on, you beat the chocolate-flavored cotton candy into next year and are gifted with the Star Spirit and freeing the flower fields of everlasting cloudy weather, and thus ending Chapter 6. Alright y'all, we are one Star Spirit away from taking the fight to the Simp himself. But first, we need to take some time to talk to the Star Spirit to get their power and head to the fortune teller in the town. He has a friend there who is the plot moving forward. He tells you some shit is going down on the ice lands of Shiver Mountain, as well as get told where the entrance to Shiver Mountain is. Now the entrance is in the sewers, and thankfully we went through that whole bitch in the downtime during some chapters. So we head towards the entrance of the sewers, but instead we are going to enter this building here and go ahead and take the secret pipe to rip Cheetos home. Which, he's just a shopkeeper that's overpriced as fuck and you shouldn't talk to him. But you go through his house and voila, the doorway to Shiver Mountain. Now, previously this door was locked, but since we talked to the plot moving forward, the door is now open. And when you go through the Shiver Mountain, it fades to white and begins Chapter 7. So, Chapter 7 is probably one of the weirdest beginnings to a chapter in a video game that I have seen in a while. So you're trying to get to the mountain, but the guards are telling you no. So you have to go speak to the mayor of the town to get access. So you go to his house and get told by the wife that he's in the next room over. You go over to speak to him. Wait a minute. That man's dead. So the wife walks in, discovers that he is dead, and instantly, without hesitation, starts blaming Mario. A detective is brought to the scene, and this bitch is still accusing Mario, even starts lying to make it worse. So you need to prove your innocence by getting the real murderer. After careful observation and harassing of a novelist later, we come to the realization that the mayor wasn't really dead, just passed out because his dumbass fell. And with all that cleared and all, you are free to go to the mountain on your way. You will once again be interrupted by that same fucking kid. So, much like Mario, much like how bloodthirsty and dickheaded he is, he pushes his shit back in and moves on, in which you will eventually run into the Star Town and meet Merlo, the fortune teller's son, who will give you a plot scarf, which will require you to go back to the first town, talk to the mayor again and his wife, get a bucket, and head back to the area we passed with the snowmen. You put the scarf on one and the bucket on the other, and the way to the Crystal Palace is open. Now, when we enter the palace and begin our progression to the boss, it's a bunch of mirror puzzles. really cool mechanics and puzzles, I ain't gonna lie. But after moving through blue and red corridors, fighting clones of your friends, even your brother?
Oh yeah, Luigi time!
You eventually reach the peak of the mountain and are apprehended by this... Ghost? Crystal Man? Frozen in time cut. Anyway, this is the final boss of the chapter, Sentient Geo Crystals. You beat him ass and you get the final Star Spirit, and that will conclude Chapter 7. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally reached the final chapter. Now for this chapter to start, you need to head to the Falling Star Valley again, or Shooting Star Summit. Go ahead and spend your star pieces from the people on the side here, because you're going to need all the badges you can get. But once that's done, you head to the place where you commune with the star spirits in the beginning, and they open up the pathway to their home. It's a long winding pathway filled with blue ember bastards, but eventually you're in the Star Town. And to the right is the Star Sanctuary. When we enter the building, the spirit strokes Mario's dick some more, while also giving him the Star Beam power, which is used to help against Bowser.
Yeah, it's a star beam, if you know what I mean.
As well as a baby carriage to carry you to Bowser's castle. I did not like making that joke after saying that. You hop in and take the ride all the way to Bowser's castle, and not gonna lie, the music for this part is some nice hype music. And when you reach the castle, the final fade to white happens for Chapter 8. Now, this whole section is pretty much use what you learned throughout the whole game and use it to your advantage. And I mean everything you've learned and obtained. You'll be using every friend in this area some way or another. God damn, Bowser's Castle got some banger music playing. Holy shit. What is with the music from the 64 era that has the basses going super fucking hard, man? Like, what the fuck? Anyway, tangent aside, you eventually reach these Bowser doors, which are essentially solve the puzzles and no consequences, except for the first. And the last one. The first one is just a trap, the last one is just a ninja It's Koopa Jr. again. Then it's off to Peach's castle, which plays this foreboding music while you ascend to the top of the castle. And eventually you'll be hit with a wave of deja vu, because you encounter Bowser in the same place you go to get your asshole skewered last time, except this time you were 10 times more powerful and 10 times tighter than last time. Your cheeks are made of steel. Oh, I see Bowser also hit the gym. Alright man. Yeah, easy as fuck. And I didn't even have to use my secret weapon. Oh, we ain't done yet. Yeah, that was just a teaser of what's to come for this fight. Eventually, everyone is on the Final Destination-esque platform that Cammy has, I guess, had created. And she activates the platform, supercharging Bowser. And so the real fight begins, and hoo-wee, this fight is actually kind of hard. Now, I know there are super bosses in the game, like the instructor in the dojo and the anti-guys and whatnot, but something about Bowser, man, he just fucking hurts. Eventually he will use the Star Rod again, but this time the Star Beam is ineffective against him. After it doesn't work, a cutscene plays where Twink returns and conks Cammy in the head, frees Peach, and now you're now fighting Cammy. Oh shit, yeah, that's right. You play as Twink and Peach in this final fight too. When you beat Cammy, another scene plays out with some emotional music playing. And no, I did not tear up when this music started playing because of how good it is. Don't stop looking at me like that. But afterwards, Twink eventually joins the Star Spirits, rejuvenating Mario and changing the Star Beam to the Peach Beam. And so begins the official final fight, and the music gets cranked up into overdrive, and the Peach Beam takes care of the Star Rod again. I think it's time to use my secret weapon. I've been saving this bad boy ever since Shiver Mountain, and he has the amount of HP to finish him.
Ha ha, you fool! You can't possibly survive this little pebble.
And thus, the battle ends, concluding Chapter 8. And thus, Mario has completed his quest. He saved Princess Peach, saved the Star Spirits, procured the Star Rod, and finally, peace can be restored. The epilogue essentially starts with the crew saying goodbye to the Star Spirits, for they are to return to their post and perform their duty of making all the wishes of simps and degenerates around come true. Twink reluctantly follows suit, saying he will never forget them. Well, Twink, with a name like that, I'm sure they won't forget you too. And instead of fading to white, it fades to black, where you are back at your house explaining the whole story to Luigi. When Luigi suddenly wonders where everyone is at and what they are doing. Which gives us a Where Are They Now portion, which shows all the boys doing their own thing and getting letters from Parakarry about a party at Peach's castle. As the showcase ends, Mario and Luigi's letterbox shakes, and they get one as well. And again, deja vu strikes and you are heading to Peach's castle with the same music playing and everything. Except this time you are free to wander around and talk to the NPCs before the final cutscene takes place. Once you finish speaking to every NPC you wish to speak to, you head into the castle where the final cutscene takes place. Where Peach explains what happened and gives purple hearts to all who participated in the reclaiming of the castle, kicks Luigi out once again because he's doing it again. What that is, we will never tell. She's praising everyone who helped reclaim the castle, the Star Spirits, and Peach herself, and advises everyone to celebrate the occasion. And then finally, fading to black once again. And the credits start as the parade I mentioned in the beginning of this video starts. With everyone in attendance, even the enemies that Mario beat the shit out of, even Bowser himself. So, how does the progression in this game feel? It feels great for an RPG game. Not once did I get lost trying to remember where to go, and it didn't feel like any chapters dragged on. Now, this could be because for some reason my subconscious remembers this game too much, but who knows? But I do think Paper Mario deserves to be preserved, and it really is a shame that the sequel to this one, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, is the only other Paper Mario to continue the turn-based RPG archetype. The others being Super Paper Mario, Paper Mario Sticker Star, and Paper Mario Color Splash, and so on. They forego the turn-based RPG strat. Now, I heard the Origami King is somewhat going back to that, but it's also not. But that's a video for another time. So Paper Mario, does it deserve to be preserved? Absolutely. Hell, I'm a little salty that the Thousand Year Door is getting a remake and not this one. But, Paper Mario, enjoy your spot in our gaming archive with yet another rousing 10 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. I wanted to try a different approach to the story this time around, and I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did making it. But the next preservation video I'm sure is a no-brainer on what's next. Might as well look at the sequel to this game and see how it holds up after all these years as well, I suppose. But until then, check out other videos that I've done. Like if you liked the video, dislike if you disliked it, comment your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe for more, and as always, my name has been Esperett, and I will see you in the next video.